If you have a small backyard or no backyard at all, get some pots, plant in there. Now I was about to do these raised gardens, this and that one. Then until here we have leaves 16 to 12 inches of soil. What I did was, I'm like, let me put this in here. Then Bob had some extra pots sitting around, so he gave it to me. Then I was discussing to our other friend Guy Lazari. He had a lot of pots and he said, oh, I have pots and I can give it to you. I am growing everything in pots. The pots are already filled. I hope that we were able to bring some kind of a content that gives you encouragement to do gardening. Hello, universes. We would like to go back and let's be friends together. Well, hello there. Welcome to our channel, my friend Bob. Today we'll be discussing a couple of things. With gardening, there are times that you can fail about something, and that is always very discouraging. But then again, you can learn from your mistakes and keep on improving. Before I go into my garden, and this is my bigger garden, and what I'm about to do, let me share a story of resilience. This is a tree that when I moved here, it was in my front yard. It is a Hydrogynia tree, and I have been here for over a couple of decades. This tree has been here before me. My guess is it is at least 30 years old. It started showing its age 4 or 5 years ago. So what happened initially was, it was not growing all the leaves that it used to, and one side of it started dying down a bit. I trimmed it off. That worked. Then in the next few years, it started getting weak and it started leaning. I put a couple of sticks around it to hold it together. Another year or so, it fell over. So I did a couple of more sticks, brought it back up, and it kept on flowering. It is actually a beautiful white color. Then the next year, it fell again. So this time around, what I did was not only put the sticks back, but put a mound of soil around it to hold it together. So this is a spot I was talking about. You can see that I did raise the soil. That didn't help. The 2 sticks sitting over here, there were 2 more, so there were technically 4. If you go look inside, there is a bit of root system. I don't think it's about to do anything. But my plan is for next year to put some kind of tree over here. Might do something floral, but knowing myself, it might be some kind of fruit tree. Come this year, in 2025, during early spring, on a rain and a windy day, it fell over again. And by that time, I'm like, okay, its time has come. So let it sit there, that eventually I'll move it to my backyard. The weirdest thing happened that there are greens on top of it. And keeping in mind, the root system was not inside the ground, but it was still green. I'm like, I'm not trying to save it again because I was trying to do it for almost 5 years. So I moved it to the back for it to die, and I'll eventually use the wood for whatever I need. That was the funniest thing until recently I realized the leaves were still green. And it was just sitting in a corner in my backyard. Now I was about to do these raised gardens, this and that one. And if you go and look at a video from last year, I also have the same kind, these tubes that I repurposed to build raised gardens. So I have three of those. So what I did was, this raised garden has been done using culture method. Almost until here we have wood logs. Then until here we have leaves, and 16 to 12 inches of soil. What I did was, I'm like, let me put this in here, like bury it in here. Surely, because it's buried far too much, either it will die or might not. If it doesn't, then I'll have my tree back. In case, even if it dies, I'll use the tree as a trellis, as a support system for some of my plants that I'm about to grow. So that's just a definition of resilience. That is a tree, and that's resilience. The other resilience, in the back you see all these greens, which are weeds of different kind, and I've been fighting them for good 10 years. I have tried multiple different ways over here. It used to be a till garden. I'll till it. I've used fabric over here. Weed will still grow underneath fabric. Then I went into the whole no-till garden. The soil over here is excellent, actually, and probably that's why the wheat thrives so well. And I did, in my walkway, wooden mulch and compost where I would grow, but I just gave up. Last year I failed, and it just hurt. So I started discussing, and Bob was already getting into planting things in pots. I do it towards the back of my house, but this is a covered area, so the good thing is deer cannot get here that easily. So that's a plus point. Then Bob had some extra pots sitting around, so he gave it to me. Then I was discussing to our other friend Guy Lazari. He had a lot of pots, and he said, "Oh, I have pots and I can give it to you." So this is what I meant when I said that we'll be using pots this year. There are multiple different sizes which are sitting over here. Now, see over here what has happened. These weeds, as much as I've weeded over the years, they keep on taking over, and there are times that you get tired. So thought about this garden this year is, I am growing everything in pots. The pots are already filled with all the greens, and keeping in mind whatever you see over here, this was weed bagged 2 weeks ago. So the thought is, grow everything in pots, and every week just come with a weed whacker and just clear it out. That way will be a bit easier than growing in ground. I wanted to do proper raised gardens over here, but my scare is that if I do raised gardens, what if things come from underneath, and after spending that much effort and money, it will just a waste of time. So I'll do pots this year. Let's see what I do next year. Eventually I do want to do raised gardens because it's easier. Over here, what I'm starting with, so I have a couple of squash, the kind which climbs, the green ones. So let me put one over here. And then I have a sunflower. Let me put one over here. Flowers always look nice. So with this method of these raised gardens, they are big enough so I can grow a couple of things. So again, as I said, every mishap could be an opportunity. We need to see it that way. We do get discouraged. I have been getting discouraged with this garden for some time. I used to get a lot of produce from here, but every year, if I don't keep up with it, and keeping up with it almost means like every day, which I just can't do it. Let's try something new. We will do an update sometime and see where we are. As I always say, I hope you saw something new. I hope that we were able to bring some kind of a content that gives you encouragement to do gardening. If you have a small backyard or no backyard at all, get some pots, plant in there. We have been talking about it this year for sure. Last year we talked about different kind of planters. Try it. It's very fulfilling. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.